In today's video, we're reviewing a 2016 Audi A3. Now, the Audi A3 is currently on its third generation, having been introduced to the US market for the first time in 2006 with the second generation model. In 2015, Audi did a full refresh, introducing the third generation of the A3. Now, the A3 is Audi's introductory offering into the Audi lineup of vehicles, sitting below the A4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 vehicles. The A3 has a starting price of about $45,000 on a base model, and the more heavily trimmed packages of the A3 come in at a starting price of about $45,000. The third generation of the A3 is offered in 3 different body configurations. First, you've got the 4-door sedan like this vehicle, which is available with either front-wheel drive or Audi's all-wheel drive Quattro system. The second option is a 2-door convertible, which is also offered in either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And the third option is a 4-door hatchback that's only available in front-wheel drive. Now, that hatchback version is also only available in the e-tron configuration, which is a plug-in hybrid that's got an electric range of 16 miles. So the vehicle can run on electric alone for that first 16 miles, and after the battery is fully discharged, then the e-tron acts as a hybrid vehicle with an EPA rating of 35 miles per gallon between city and highway driving. Audi also offered a diesel variant of the A3 that had a combined EPA rating of about 35 miles per gallon. That model was discontinued in light of the emissions scandal from Volkswagen and Audi. Other versions of the A3 are going to see a combined EPA rating of about 27 miles per gallon.
Now, I'm a huge Audi fan, but when the first A3 was introduced to the US market in 2006, I wasn't that excited. I think part of it is that it was only offered in a 4-door hatchback configuration, and I much prefer the appearance of the 4-door sedan. In addition to that, while it was an okay looking car in general, it just didn't have the same premium look and feel that you get from other Audi vehicles. And going from the A3 to the A4, I felt like there was a huge disparity in terms of quality and the overall design. And I think that with the third generation of the A3, Audi really rectified that and took the A3 to a whole new level in terms of just the quality and the design, putting it much more on par with other Audis that are more expensive in their lineup. And styling wise, it also carries a lot of the same cues that you get in those higher spec versions. Now, I think the A3 offers a really nice size, and it's kind of funny actually, because you look back to the 2008 and older A4s, and the A3 is kind of grown to the same size that those vehicles were. Now, I had a 2003 A4 that I was a huge fan of, and I replaced it with a 2009, which is the larger version of the A4. And while I really liked the car, I felt like it lost some of the driving characteristics that you got with the smaller A4. And with this A3, it kind of addresses that in some sense. And from an appearance standpoint, I think that the smaller size of the A3 also gives it kind of a sportier appearance than the much longer A4. Now, when the 2015 A3 was first introduced, it had some unique styling cues that have been carried throughout the Audi lineup since then. These tail lights are one of the most distinctive characteristics that you've seen carried through other vehicles in the lineup since it was introduced. And then going up to the front grille, the overall design here was carried into a number of different vehicles as well. And it's an interesting thing because typically you take a lot of those design cues and you drop them from your higher spec versions down over the years. And with the A3, they kind of did that backward, where they gave some of these really unique style to their base level model and then carried it up through the lineup. And there's some similar design language inside of the vehicle where they did that as well. Now, you can see that this model has the S-Line package. There's a badge here right in front of the driver's side door. That's one thing that you get with the S-Line package, is just that little label. But you also get a slightly sportier set of wheels. And just style-wise, there's a few different design cues. You get the black grille on the front here. And then inside the vehicle, it's got more of a sports style seat. And then down here along the bottom of the vehicle, this trim piece here is unique to the S-Line model. gives it a little bit more sporty profile. Now, I really like the overall design language of the A3. It does look very similar to other Audis in the lineup, but you know, for a vehicle that's in this class, I think that it's a really great looking combination of sport and luxury at a pretty reasonable price. You can see this model has the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder, which comes with the dual exhaust. The A3 is also available with a 1.8-liter turbo. So with the 2-liter turbo, you get additional horsepower, and the gas mileage is quite comparable. So if you're in the market for an A3, I definitely recommend getting that 2-liter turbo. And this is the Quattro model. You can see there's a label right below that with the Quattro. So there's a label there, there's one on the front grille, and then there's one on the dashboard. That's how you can tell across the Audi lineup whether a vehicle has that Quattro all-wheel drive system. Likewise, I would highly recommend that if you get any Audi, and specifically the A3, to definitely make that upgrade to the Quattro system. It's really what makes Audis unique. And while the front-wheel drive offers a lower price of entry, I think that it's worth every dollar to get that all-wheel drive system. First of all, for its capability in snow and ice, but also just the enhanced handling and acceleration in terms of grip. Now, I mentioned that on the exterior design of the A3, Audi really developed some of their new design language on this model and carried it up through the lineup. And on the interior, you can see that as well. And the A3 has a really great looking interior. It's very simple, and then it's got that combination of sport and luxury. This 3-spoke steering wheel, that's also part of that S-Line package that I was mentioning earlier. And it gets a slightly different style shifter in the middle. This model comes with the push button key start. So the key's in my pocket and I can use this button here to start the vehicle by applying the brake. In addition to that, the smart key allows you to unlock and lock the vehicle with the key in your pocket. Now, Audi has really come to be kind of a class leader in terms of interior design, and they just do a great job creating vehicles that have that really sporty appearance that's also classy. Lots of really nice attention to detail and accent colors throughout the vehicle. A lot of brushed aluminum. You can see some of the black plastics, and it just really results in a great overall look to the vehicle. Now, the profile inside the interior here, this is something that really carried over from the A3 into other models of the Audis. Originally, or prior to this generation, a lot of the Audis had a center navigation screen here. You controlled a lot of the functions through that system. On the A3, they simplified that all down. You've got your climate control settings here, a few other controls up here, and then the screen pops out of the dashboard when you want it. So you can either have that up or you can drop it down. And one of the great things about the A3 is that it really simplifies things. A lot of the higher spec versions of the Audis, everything, all the temperature controls, car settings, audio controls are all controlled through that navigation screen. And the A3 offers a really nice balance of still having that screen and some functionality in that screen, but simplifying things, where the temperature control settings are very simple. You've got your heated seats on either side here. This is your fan control, and then you've got your location that you want the air to be coming from, the dual zone climate control, so you can control the driver's side on this side, passenger side over here. So it's a really simple system. And then with that infotainment system, it's also pretty simple to use. You've got your navigation, telephone, so you can just push this button up or down to choose one of those options, and then you can scroll through your settings using this dial here. So it's a really nice, simple design. You see the screen just popped up here. So by pressing this button on the dashboard, we can either drop that down or we can pop it back up. So it provides a little bit of a blind spot when it's in place, and so it's nice to have that ability to drop it down. Plus, it just simplifies the overall look of the dash. Jumping into the back seat of the A3, you're going to see that it's a little bit tight,
And that's one of the reasons that Audi expanded the size of the A4 with that 2009 model, is that prior generations were a little tight. Now with that said, I'm 5 foot 10 inches and I do fit in the back of this vehicle. You can see up at the top here that my head just barely has enough space. If I kind of slouch, I'm good. If I sit up more straight, then you'll see that there's a little bit of a conflict there. Likewise, down here at my knees, if I'm slouched down, then I've got just barely enough space. If I sit up straight, then I'm gonna have a little bit more. I'd say that the back seat is definitely adequate, but it is a little bit tight.
And jumping around to the back, the trunk of the A3 is a pretty good size. I'd say that it's going to be fairly adequate for most day-to-day use. On a longer trip, you might find that it's a little bit on the tight side. Those back seats do fold down, so you can get larger objects into the vehicle with those down. And then this center hatch here folds down and allows you to pass through a ski bag or other items. And so it allows you to use those two seats by the window and still have an object pass through the middle.
So as I mentioned, the Quattro all-wheel drive system is really one of the highlights in my mind about the whole Audi lineup and the Audi A3. Not all brands offer their vehicles in all-wheel drive, and the Quattro all-wheel drive system is one of the best all-wheel drive systems that's available. With it, not only do you get great handling in snow and ice conditions, but you really get great handling on dry roads as well. If you're accelerating hard, you never have to worry about the vehicle spinning out. And even if it's just a rainy day, you don't have to necessarily worry as much that the vehicle is going to lose control, because that all-wheel drive system is always there, watching out and ready to activate when you need it. Now, I love the overall style and design of the interior of the A3. I actually like it so much that I almost bought one just a few months ago and decided to go with the Volkswagen e-Golf instead because of that electric option. But this is a great vehicle overall, and while I critiqued the older versions of the A3 for basically being a glorified Volkswagen Jetta, which is kind of what these vehicles are based off of, these third generation model of the A3 really takes it to a whole nother level and is not just a spiffed up Volkswagen Jetta, but rather it's really a whole other car in terms of the refinement, the luxury, and then having that Quattro all-wheel drive system, which isn't available on the Jetta. The 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo in this A3 offers a really nice balance of performance and fuel economy. It's got more than enough acceleration and passing power, but at the same time, you're still getting close to 30 miles per gallon on the highway. Now, even though the A3 isn't the most expensive or highest spec car in the Audi lineup, I think it offers a really compelling argument against its more expensive siblings, because the size is just perfect. It almost feels like you're just in a small sports car, but you've still got a back seat and a trunk. And so it's a really great package, and I think that's why Audi offers the more expensive S3 and RS3 models, is that there are a lot of more premium buyers that have the money to buy a more expensive Audi, but they like the smaller size of the A3. If you're in the market for a small sports sedan, the A3 is definitely a good option to consider. Having that all-wheel drive Quattro system is an especially nice advantage of this vehicle. If you've got any comments or questions on the car, leave those in the section below. For more car reviews, subscribe to my channel. In the meantime, thanks for watching.